Gwen, what's going on?
Nothing much.
Are you enjoying your vacation?
Yeah, very much so.
It's not really much of a vacation if you're here doing the show, but you're down there in Alabama. You sent me a picture that I recognized very well earlier, the Bull Weevil Monument.
Yep.
And, I hope you're enjoying your time down there in the deep South heat.
You know what? It storms every day, and I don't mean a little storm. I mean a big storm, but no, it's good. I got to go to Seattle before that.
So, yeah, between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, you can pretty much set your watch to. You don't even need a watch. If it starts storming, you know it's about 4:30 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, I got to go to a couple of different places and do some fun things. Got to go to a concert, Walker Hayes concert. So
nice,
cool.
nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was gonna I was gonna trim my beard before the show tonight, but it was just too hot. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that tonight.
And you're not even in the South.
I'm not, and I'm actually not even wearing a paranormal shirt tonight. If you can't, that's my typical. But but yeah. So I mean, I'm glad you're enjoying your time. You told me you're gonna go and check out the hanging hole of Bill Scetto, and hopefully I can send you any kind of information that you need on that. Maybe tomorrow before you guys go.
Please.
I know about the place very well. I've been there personally multiple times. It's a great location. Just you have to be wary that you're never going to find the hole that does not fill, because the hole that does not fill is currently covered up by a bunch of boulders. So, yeah. Hey, Morgan.
Hey, Morgan.
But there is the rumor that if you are out there overnight and you said see the ghost of Bill Scetto, it's a vengeful ghost. And so the people who see said spirit leave the place and never make it home. But
thanks there.
Well, no, here's the thing. That's the great thing about urban legends, right? It's because if someone saw the spirit and didn't make it home, then who in the hell is alive to tell the tale?
True. Very true.
So think about it like that. But any kind of the historical stuff that you want to know, I can give you that information. And like I said, I highly recommend taking the extra 7-minute drive up to the town hall and checking out the museum. They have Native American artifacts along with they have arrowheads and all this other kind of stuff from the Civil War that was discovered on the Newton Battleground, which is 2 minutes from that said hanging hole.
Oh, really?
Yes, there was a Civil War battle that took place in Newton. There was a reenactment every year. I think it takes place in August. But yeah, so they have found musket balls. They have found, you name it, as far as Civil War artifacts, belt buckles, buttons off the uniforms. They found it in that field. And
that's cool.
It's amazing history. The thing is you can access the hanging hole, but here's the thing, and be wary of this. If you do not call the local police department before you go down there at night, and they catch you down there at night, that could be a problem.
Okay.
Also, do not pass the fence that lines the field after the old bridge that collapsed back in '76. Because if you cross that fence and there is an opening, you are now on private property.
Oh, gotcha.
So be wary of that.
I knew you were the one to ask. That's why I asked you.
I'm just trying to help you out. That's it.
Oh, I know. I appreciate it very much. So let's get to our guest. He's sitting there grinning at us.
Yeah. You know what, Dustin? Keep looking. I'm going to keep you back there for 2 more minutes as a punishment. No, I love this guy to death. I met him for the first time last year at the Salem Paracon and Horror Convention. Absolutely amazing guy. And he's from the South. He's from Alabama. And
I didn't know that.
Yes, and he is an author. He's also a musician. And he's the owner and filmmaker for Moonlight Monster Media. So I'm really intrigued to have this guy on the show. And I'm looking forward to it. So please, welcome to the Paranormal Unveiled family, Dustin Grammer.
Hey, Dustin.
Hey, and how are you?
I did not know you were in Alabama. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because you were like, I'm in Central Time, I'm traveling, and then I'm sitting in the backstage, and you're talking about Alabama. I'm like, talk about a guest to have, then.
It was a perfect show.
Yeah, it is hot, and it has been storming a lot, and I think we broke some records on rain amounts. It just has been raining like almost every day.
It has, yes.
I mean, but dude, it's Alabama. You can expect a thunderstorm at about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Literally, you can set your watch to it.
Yeah, I was surprised when I met you in Salem. You were talking about how humid New Hampshire gets sometimes, because I would have thought that would have been a good place to try to escape the heat down here.
So if you want to escape the heat, go west. It's a dry
Right.
heat. It's not humid. But however, if you want to come up here to say maybe do some kind of research as far as, filmmaking or whatnot, I know some great places. So
Yeah, I've really been hanging closer to writing lately. I did the one little mockumentary film, and I mean we can get into that. It was a Bigfoot based film, and I made up a fictional town called Steeds Ridge in Alabama, and that really just stemmed from I was kind of recording my own music, and I like to watch a lot of B movies and documentaries and stuff on
who doesn't?
Amazon.
Yeah.
And I just one day I just like set this goal, like even if it's like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, it'd be cool to have music in a movie and be like, hey, my music's in this movie. So I started looking at the credits and finding studios, directors, or whatever, and I started just spam emailing to try to make that happen. And eventually, I never had success. I tried that in 2 different rounds. I think I did it once around 2016 or 17. Then I tried it again around 18 or 19, 2018 or 19, and I got a couple responses. Thomas Markham, who is the publisher of the books and the distributor for the movie that I have now with Zombie Media, he was always really nice and would answer me back. He's in Kentucky, and I started to like edit videos and reels with my friend, and he's actually like a social media influencer now. So I sharpened up some editing skills and just thought, why don't I just try to make my own movie? And I just asked for people to help me and say, hey, we're going to do this film about these Bigfoot sightings. And people would send me little videos of them in these scenarios, and I'd do reenactments with a Bigfoot suit or whatever. And I did all the music. So that started Moonlight Monster Media, because I was like, well, now I need a name. And the whole Moonlight thing is a joke with my brother and his friend. So I just keep accidentally like networking and making more stuff. Just
man, when it comes to the paranormal world, whether it be filmmaking, whether it be writing books, whatever the case may be, networking is so important, and people don't realize how important it is, because there's so many people out there that may have skills that you don't realize that they're willing to help you go above and beyond. You know what I mean?
I was telling my wife that when we ended up in Salem last year, I was like giving her the chain of events. I was like, well, this all happened because Thomas Markham answered me in an email. Well, then he helped me distribute a movie. Well, that in turn led to Raph. He got me on a podcast with him, Let's Find Out with Diego. Well,
I love Raph.
Oh, I do too, man. We talk all the time. Great guy. So then that led to Adam, because Raph and Adam were connecting, and that got me with you. And it was really nice, man, talking to you up there in Salem. That was
it was amazing.
Yeah, you and meeting Adam and Heather and the Perez's.
There he is.
Yeah, because I remember. I remember you being up on stage and you were talking about going into this abandoned asylum there in Alabama. Yeah. And I was like, I got a question. And you had answered, yeah, what's your question? I was like, was it old Bryce? And you said, yeah, actually it was. And I shit you not. Adam turned and looked at me and he was like, man, this is why I love you, because you know your. I said, no, I just know the locations in Alabama because that's where I'm from. So can you kind of, before we get into that question, actually, let me backtrack a little bit, because I always like to ask my guests, for those of the people out there that are watching that do not know who you are, as far as Dustin Grammer, what do you exactly do? I know you're involved in a lot of different things, right? You're involved in, you're an author, you're a filmmaker, you know, you own Moonlight Monster Media. But who are you when it comes to the paranormal and what it is that you do to promote your brand?
Okay, so as far as the paranormal
I
goes,
told you I like to ask multi-part questions.
oh man, yeah, sure, go for it. So the paranormal thing was probably like a lot of people. It was just there's a lot of good storytellers in my family, in the South in general. Well, you know, there's a lot of history here. There's a lot of
Hey,
history.
Adam, thanks for joining, brother.
There's a lot of history in New England as well, you know. So growing up, getting told these stories, uh, it just created kind of an interest in the spooky and the creepy things. Now, as far as who I am, I don't claim to be. I'm not a research team. I don't claim to be a paranormal person at all. I'm just a person who I have maybe 2 or 3 unexplained events that, you know, like I talked to you in Messenger. I have a couple of things that have happened and they had a secondary or a tertiary person there. So if it would have just been me myself, I would have tried to rule it out because I do lean more as a skeptic on a lot of things. Now, some of the things at one point after I did the first film, I was trying to do a legitimate documentary on the paranormal from a curious standpoint, not any kind of expertise. It was like I wanted to get people to share their stories, but I also wanted to get a couple guys and us go into some locations and just, we didn't go in to provoke anything, just to turn on some recordings, take some pictures and video and just see what happens. Now, I ended up never
Hang on,
making
Dustin.
another.
Gwen, I'm gonna have to ask you to calm down. We heard whatever that was, so just calm down.
It's the dog. Yeah, she's
Anyway,
having a
continue, Dustin. I'm
meltdown.
sorry.
What's that?
I said continue. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you kind of cut out for a second. I didn't hear what you said. Yeah, so I was going to end up making another documentary and actually went into a couple locations from a curious standpoint, not any kind of legitimized thing. And I did catch a couple EVPs, I think, and I still have those. But we went to a couple cemeteries near where I live, and we also got permission to go into the Drish House in Tuscaloosa.
Nice.
And while we were in there, you know, the current owners told us the history, told us some stories about experience they had had. And while I was there, my electronics toward the end started to act up. It was saying my phone was out of space. The batteries, you know, it was like cutting off and stuff on my camera. What I did afterwards was I went home and put earbuds in, turned the volume up on a couple recordings, because we were recording with a digital recorder and the video on the phone. And at one point in my ear, I thought I heard a voice like say, "Shut the door." Well, I could hear me and the guy, David, who was with me talking, you know, and he's like, "I wonder what's in here." And you hear a door creak and you hear "Shut the door." So what I did was I went back to my video and matched it up at the same time, because I was like, did he whisper? You know, did he say anything? Because surely I'm not hearing what I'm hearing. And I watched him on video open the door and not say a word. And I got it. I mean, I've still got that recorded. I distinctly heard "Shut the door."
Well, if you're ever willing to send me that recording, because I think you actually played me. You
I
played
did.
me that at Salem.
We couldn't hear it good in there in that auditorium, and
You
there was a
can't.
lot
Like,
going on. But
there was
yeah,
a
I'll
bunch going
definitely
on.
send that to you.
But yeah, if you want to send that to me, I can clean up that audio a little bit, and I can send it back to you, because I know that I heard exactly what you heard.
Yeah, and the other one we got was in a cemetery at a church near here. The first spot, we didn't get anything as far as that goes. And the second, I'm half asleep. I'm not expecting anything. I'm really not. I'm going to take whatever I've gotten and put it in this documentary regardless. If nothing happens, nothing happens. And we'll say, well, you know, we went out. This
You're
is what.
keeping it honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to make anything up if I'm trying to do a documentary. Now, my books, yes, I do. That's fictional. And that's what I'm getting at, is I enjoy that the most now. Being a storyteller, writing things down. But the documentary, the paranormal, was a little short-lived that night, because I also heard one, and I can send it to you, and it actually scared me a little bit, because it sounds like it says, "I'll cut the head off tonight," and that was in a cemetery. And
I'd be intrigued to hear that.
Yeah, I didn't like hearing that, and it got to a point where, honestly, I got the feeling that I'm going to leave this stuff alone. This isn't for me. I'm not scared. I'm not a scary person. Obviously, I've hung out in the old Bryce building and separated off by myself. I'll go in the woods right now. But when you have things that are unexplained like that, and you can't touch them, they're not there, and there could be serious repercussions to that. I just, spiritually, I think I'm gonna stay out of that lane, at least for now.
Yeah.
I concur with that, because let me tell you, brother, the main thing that you're looking at now is your own personal and your family safety. You're looking at it as, you don't know what kind of repercussions could follow you home. They're called attachments.
And I was told that going into it by a woman who was in. She said, "Y'all don't need to do that. Just don't do that, and because stuff can come home with you."
Well, I can tell you, same offer that I gave you in Salem. If you ever decide to film a paranormal documentary and you need expertise, you've got me.
Oh, sure, yeah, and I would call you for sure.
I've got you.
I'd say I'm not going to, but I've said that about a lot of things, and I end up just rolling right back in. You know, it may be 5-6 years from now and be like, "Hey, that was kind of fun when I did that. I'm gonna try it again." But I've had a couple. I don't know if you want me to talk about that. There were a couple of things that actually happened to me.
By all means.
Oh, please.
So
this is your show, brother. I'm just the host. You talk about whatever you want.
Oh man, this is your show. Just because if you don't watch out, I'll just talk. I will just talk the entire time over everybody. So.
And I'm good with it, man. I'm just a guy asking questions. It's your show. I'm here to highlight you and what you do as far as Moonlight Monster Media and everything you got going on, man. If you want to talk about it, you talk.
Yeah, Moonlight Monster Media right now is basically just Dustin Grammer, the author. I've done Dirt Road Tales of Horror last year, which is 19 short horror thriller stories. And actually, I'm going to revisit it now that I've gotten a little more experience with my writing. And there were a lot of things I missed on that one. I'm proud of the stories. I like what I imagined up, but I want to go back and fix some things. There were some, it can be better. And then I've done The Structure back in the wintertime, and it's based in Alabama. It's a novella because it was supposed to go in the collection of short stories I'm working on now. There's a book I'm hoping to have out by September, like Dirt Road Tales of Horror, that has short stories. And these are a little longer than Dirt Road because I took critiques on what people liked, what I could improve on, and some of that was the stories were short. They were too short. Let them breathe a little more. So this time I'm taking a little more of an approach. So with The Structure, what I did was it was supposed to be a short story and it ran too long.
Not many to interrupt, just wanted to ask. So for everyone out there watching, these are non-fictional stories, correct? Or are they fictional?
These are fictional, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My stories, my books are fictional, and I try not to tread over the same subject. So you're looking at anything from serial killers to ghosts to a Bigfoot, a werewolf, vampires.
Why you gotta bring me up? Just because I hide bodies doesn't mean I'm a serial killer.
He don't hide them.
Yeah, I've got some in my notes about a podcaster who turns out to be a pretty dangerous killer, but maybe I'll name him Nate.
You know what? I would be honored. I'd be honored, to be honest.
I haven't written.
Do you know that we do a serial killer show?
No.
Yeah,
with Thomas Patrick Gormley.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, that's who came to mind when you said serial killer. It was Thomas, because he's all about that. So you do a show with him?
Myself, Thomas, Letriana Brown, who's the CEO. I'm the producer of the network. And then Blaine Rohan. He's actually in Alabama also.
Oh, wow. A lot of Alabamians. And Nate, you lived there at some point, right?
I lived there for
From
22 years.
Yeah, but I'm guessing I'm not going to get a Roll Tide out of you, though, right?
Negative. I'm an FSU fan. Fuck Roll Tide. Excuse my language. Actually, during the Alabama-Auburn game, I purposely root for Auburn just to mess with my family.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, no, not a Roll Tide guy here at all.
Yeah, but FSU, the Seminoles.
Yeah, FSU, look, we're horrible. I know we are, and I own it. My Bengals are horrible in the NFL, and I own it. I've been a Bengals fan for 15, 16 years. I know we're bad, but I'm not going to give up on my team.
Oh, okay. I thought you were a Steelers guy.
His chest is hurting now.
Do not curse me with that.
Did I remember that right? That you were violently against the Steelers, right?
My sister became a Steelers fan because I was a Bengals fan. And I'm like, I love you, but I'll kill you. So Dustin,
and then you'll be on Thomas's show with us.
Then you'll be on our show. We knew him win.
So Dustin, let me ask you, what got you into the ideal of filmmaking? What was it, a passion? Do you ever go to school for it, or was it just something that kind of happened?
It just kind of happened because I wanted music on a film, and like I said, I started editing and doing like little funny reels with my friend, and you can still find some of those. And I'm really trying to figure out if I'm going to do it this year. I'll do that little series, Terror Tuesday, from September to October.
Morgan, no. That is an off-the-wall question that will never be answered. Not at least by me.
I'm just really bad about getting an idea and like unprepared. Like I'll just jump into things. Like I will try stuff and see how far I can go with it. And it keeps pushing me to, I'll get bored. I have to have like projects. I have to have things to do, or I'll sit around, just waste my time and do nothing. And then now, like these books, I have notebooks full of ideas. And if I don't start writing them down, I stress out. Like they just, if I don't work on it, like it just eats me up. And I can't be happy about it. And then like I'll get tired thinking about working it on something, then not go work on it. But eventually when I sit down and do it, I'm happy. And I like.
So I can tell you that Raph pushed me to contact the guy that publishes for Zombie Media that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Thomas.
And for some reason, I've just not done it. I don't know why, because I have a book. I've written it.
I was going to ask you about that. I thought you'd projected.
Huh?
Did you finish it?
It's been finished.
It's supposed to be out in July, wasn't it? Or is it? I'm having issues with people are saying the book is too long, or people are telling me that the subject matter changes so much that they don't want to take on the project. That's the issue that I'm having. Well, that sounds interesting to me, that it doesn't just, the subject matter is a variety, right?
Because it's about paranormal applications. It's about me testing paranormal applications and telling people my honest opinions on them.
Right.
And so let's be honest. Every other day, there's a new paranormal application out there you can find on the App Store.
True.
But I don't know. It's just like I've had so many issues with someone wanting to take on the project. Although I have permission from every single app developer, and I straight told them my review through email before I asked the permission. I like your app and I don't like your app. This is why, or this is why I don't like it. And every single one of them gave me permission to use it. But in hindsight, I don't need that because I'm writing it from a journalistic point of view.
Yeah.
But no one would take on the project.
I bet you Thomas would. He's pretty open. I mean, that's kind of his lane, is cryptids and paranormal and horror. But I know, there was one time, didn't Danny talk to you about just self-publishing it and
Yeah,
that
and
process?
I tried that and I got scammed out of like $65.
Oh no.
I know somebody that'll publish it. She's one of our sponsors for the network.
Well, Gwen messaged me about that afterwards.
Yep.
But anyway, so Dustin, let's get into these books, okay? Like,
Okay.
you have the Dirt Road series. Is it going to be a series or is it just a one-off?
Okay, so what I've been doing is Dirt Road starts with a storyteller. There's an introduction, and a truck driver picks up a hitchhiker. That's seems a little odd, but he ends up picking up this hitchhiker. Well, they're going from Florida, from the Panhandle up to like North Carolina. So essentially, the 19 stories are being told by the hitchhiker in the truck. Well, after the final story, there's a conclusion that wraps up that. So it almost makes it a 20th story, because then you get a little more insight into the stranger in the truck. So what I'm doing now on the other side of the graveyard, which is the title, what I'm working on now, there will be a different storyteller. And I think I'm going to take that route. I've got 2 more scenarios where that would work, where there's an event and there's a storyteller and he tells all the stories during some sort of event, like something that's going on. Then at the end, there's going to be a conclusion. And I'm really happy about the one I've got coming up, because I really like the turn at the end, what I'm going to do with the storyteller. I haven't actually written. What I did, just like last time, was I write all the stories, I do all the drafts, I go back, polish everything up, and then I add the intro and the conclusion based off of how everything else turns out.
Sometimes it's the best way to do it.
But the structure is actually a standalone story about this dude that lives by himself in Alabama. He's got some issues going on, and he buys a drone.
So you wrote the story about me.
Do you have a drone?
I do.
Probably.
I do too. That's kind of where the idea came from. Some of it. But he flies the drone around his house and he sees a building like out in the middle of nowhere that's never been there before. And then it kind of, I can't say much about it because it's a mystery.
Yeah, don't give it away.
But I really liked how that turned out, because I felt like I had some growth there, because I worked on character development, and I like to do scenery. I like to try to get you to feel like you can see the room or feel the feelings, and that's a lot of the compliments I get are,
Morgan, you definitely should.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they intertwine. Is that what I was trying to see? What that
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She said, I definitely need to check your books out.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I actually could just send you one. It doesn't matter. I'm more than happy to do that.
Send me one.
I will.
Where's mine?
I want
both of you.
Gwen, you don't matter at the moment. I'm the host. I want you to send me one.
You see how I get disrespected, right?
Yeah. Well,
so I have a question. Which part of Alabama are you in?
Tuscaloosa, so West Alabama.
He's up near the University of Alabama. He's near Old Bryce. He's a little bit away from Huntsville, where Dead Children's Playground is. Yeah. Stories told by Thomas.
That's next weekend.
Go, Thomas. I don't need the other.
It's actually
you don't need Thomas from the peanut gallery. I love Thomas to death, though. I love Thomas. So let me ask you, what kind of, if you have any, and if you can talk about it, what kind of projects does Moonlight Monster Media, as far as filming wise, have coming up?
Filming, probably there's nothing on the table right now. It's more books. I have the book I'm trying to get out by September because of the Halloween season. Hopefully I've got a few stories that'll fall more into a gothic horror, because I'm really a classic horror guy. I really like Victorian ghost story. I've got so many old books, M.R. James books,
Like
Poe.
Bram Stoker.
Yeah, oh yeah, him
Oh,
too.
cool.
All of them. Yeah, I listened to a lot of audiobooks on that. I have them here like on my shelf. So this winter I'm hoping I've got like 5 gothic type stories in mind in my notes. Some of them we're going to make it into this short story book. I'm going to keep them out and put them into, hopefully, if I write during the winter. And then I've got a biography for someone that I'm going to help co-write with them. And whenever he gets me more notes, we're going to try and knock that out. So
Nice.
that's kind of what I have coming up with Moonlight Monster Media. And I've kind of slipped away from that. I'm not as active on my page or doing as much with the videos, and I'll get back to it. I'll start doing music stuff and making reels again at some point. I'm sure I will, but right now I'm just so caught up in writing stories.
So I can tell you from personal experience that I appreciate the honesty with that, because I've been so tied up with the podcast that I'm doing now, you know, the one we're doing now,
Yeah.
and like I used to do my debunking videos on TikTok, and
Yeah, I used to watch those.
I just realistically do not have the time to do it, and I'm trying my best to squeeze it in, but when push comes to shove, you've got to kind of take what matters more.
Yeah, that's right. And and I have a full-time job, and
You do, and so do I.
that's and you do, and it keeps me very busy there. There's a lot that goes on there, and
And
I had
can
go
we
ahead.
hit on what we discussed the other night about the
Yeah.
cigar smoke?
Yes, that's where I was going to. So real paranormal encounters that I can't explain. One of them happened at work. And if any of those guys are just so happen to check this show out or watching this, they already have heard this. And I didn't realize any of them were listening to me, but apparently they did. And I'll get to that. So from square one, I worked a night shift in a plant for 2.5 years. Well, in this shift, there's only 2 guys on site. So it's not like there's a lot going on in there. And it's maybe half a mile from one end to the back gate, across. Uh, so building 13,
I
that's the
agree,
number.
Morgan. It is.
It's building number 13 was a part of the old plant that's no longer used, but a lot of the old buildings are still there. Some of them have electronics in it or whatever. This one has nothing in it, but it's always seemed spooky since I started there. And people would make jokes about, yeah, that's the ghost building, but nobody could say why or say anything about it. It just feels odd. Like when you go near it, the windows are, especially at night, it just feels like somebody is hanging out watching you, and the lights will flicker on the side of the building. And that's explainable. That's old electric wire, old bad connections, loose
Or
wire.
ballast lights. Ballast
Yeah,
lights.
yeah,
They have
yeah.
a
But
they have a habit of flickering.
on its own, the building has just a creepiness to it. So anyway, I would walk. We'd make rounds every couple of hours, and I got in the habit of not riding equipment like side by sides or trucks. I would just get out and walk around at night, and I started to notice on multiple occasions when I would pass Building 13, I would smell cigar smoke, and we had really bright lights with us. So immediately I'm thinking somebody's here, somebody's in our plant, somebody's walked through, somebody hopped off a train because there's a railroad line that runs right outside the gate in the back. So I get my light and I'm checking everywhere where a person could be. You're not going to, every corner I'm looking, nobody. I was like, man, I smell cigar smoke. Happened multiple times, but I never told anybody. Now here's the kicker. Here's where where the story comes around. There was a woman who worked there. Now she's retired, but we became good friends. She came in. She would come in around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and make coffee. Well, I like coffee,
Who
so I
doesn't?
would go. I would go up there, and I've been up all night. We're gonna have a cup of coffee, and we talk. Pretty regular. One day we're in there, and she'd tell old stories, like, because she started there in like the 90s, and what is that? Something about Hearing breathing, heavy breathing or wheezing.
So what Morgan is asking, she's asking if there was any instances where you heard breathing.
I didn't, and that would be hard because there's motors running too. There's equipment moving.
Oh, good point.
So
Good point.
yeah, your audible senses are a little
dull.
Yeah, that's gonna. So we're drinking coffee, and she's reminiscing about this person, this guy, and she said, Building 13. She said, I can't think of the guy's name. He was an older man. He's probably dead now. I think he's dead now. She said, every day on his break, he would sit on the steps of Building 13 and smoke a cigar, and I can't remember his name. And I looked, I kind of stopped, and we could talk to each other about a lot of stuff, but I didn't want to look crazy. And I said, can I tell you something? And like, seriously, right now, you just don't think I'm crazy. I said, because of what you just told me. I said, do you know sometimes when I pass that building at night, I smell cigar smoke? And so that was, yeah, it was like that.
Morgan,
Put that together.
It's okay. You had a drink. It's all good. There's no need to apologize.
There's a part of that story I don't tell very often. I think I've told it once, maybe on the last.
I want you to tell me.
Huh?
But I want you to tell me.
Yeah, I told you in Messenger, and I'll tell you now, because this is the part that really makes it even more far-fetched, and people are going to say, man, no way. So we were at the beach one year. I don't remember, it was Panama City, maybe Gulf Shores. I can't remember, and I was sleeping. This was before I got told, too, that there was a guy that used to work there. This may have even been before I smelled cigar smoke. I don't remember exactly where that timeline falls. I know it was before she told me about the man smoking the cigars. But I had a dream one night on vacation that I went into that building, looked down the stairs, and just yelled really loud for no reason, just like, and heard it echo. Suddenly, a guy rounds out of the dark, runs full speed at me from the bottom of the steps, and the only thing I saw was an old uniform that we don't wear anymore that would have been from like the 90s, and never saw a face. His face was just obscured. And it scared me so bad I jumped like straight awake and was like, oh my God, what was that? And, for a while I was like, dude, like never go yell in that building.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. And for me, and I deal with the paranormal on quite a regular basis, that may have made me pee a little. Because, like, when you have that spirit rush you like that, whether or not it's in a dream or it's a physical, like you're in a location, right?
Right.
It basically is the same reaction, because that's going to freak anyone out.
Oh, man, yeah. He just ran straight up the stairs out of the dark because it's dark down there. And I just saw his shirt with the, the logo and all, but like old style. And there were some guys, I found this out recently, and one of the guys didn't even want he didn't want the other guy to tell on him. But I guess, like I said, I've told the story since then. And I just think like nobody ever listens to me. And some people make jokes. We all cut up with each other. It's fine. I don't get upset.
I'll listen to you.
Yeah. And so two of the younger guys that worked there decided, I guess one night they were going to go in the building. I didn't know this till one of them told me, of course, but so they listened to me and they went in there and they were trying to be funny and yell. And they were like, come on, Ghost, what's up? And all this. Well, about the time they started cutting up in there, they heard this loud, like beating and flapping against metal, and it scared the crap out of them. Well, a bird, was up there and they couldn't see it. And they finally saw the bird. Well, I guess they were so, maybe scared or tense that they left the side-by-side outside running. So I guess in case they need to make a quick escape. Well, in the meantime, a train came by, and they said from inside the building with the door shut, the way the train, I guess, was hitting the tracks, it sounded like the Polaris was revving up, just boom, boom. And one of the guys yelled, "Oh my God, he's still in the Polaris," and they ran off and left.
But it's all natural explanations.
Yeah.
Based off of what you said, and they listened to a story that you had no idea that they even listened to.
Right. Now, I guess it just had gotten in their head. You know, it was already in their head, and then those chain of events just coincidentally happened, I guess, and scared them off.
Chain of events will do that sometimes because when you look at it realistically, I can sit here and do this podcast with you tonight. I have no idea who's watching. I have no idea. If they don't comment, I don't know who's watching.
Right.
And it's like I told you the other night through Messenger that I overheard people talking about my podcast while I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you watch my podcast? Well, yeah, I watch your podcast. Well, if you're watching the podcast, why don't you comment?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Right.
I saw a
There
reel
are tons that won't do that. So, yes,
Yeah,
Thomas, we know. Morgan does.
about.
Several other people.
Just ignore any comments from Thomas. Let's just go with that.
I watched a reel, you know, because now for some reason, you know, algorithm.
I love you, Thomas.
And there's a lot of author stuff that starts popping up now on my reels, and one of them was saying something about just keep doing your work. There are a lot more people who are just shy or they don't interact on social media, but they're there and they're getting your material or watching what you're putting out. And I don't know. That's probably true because there's people who repeat stuff back. Like I'll do a reel, like my Terror Tuesdays are really goofy, and I do like classic black and white horror, and people will like randomly quote it to me every once in a while, like at work or something, and be like, "Oh, you saw that?" And they're like, "Yeah, I saw it."
So can I ask you, Dustin, because I know, like you said earlier, you're more focused on the authorial part, like writing books.
Yeah, fiction, yeah, and writing books.
But if you had the opportunity to go in and film a documentary at a very haunted location with very credible people, would that be something that Moonlight Monster Media would be interested in taking up as far as a project?
I mean, probably if I could afford it, yeah. Moonlight Monster Media is broke.
So am I. We all are.
I lose a lot more than I ever make on anything I work on. But yeah, of course I would if everything was aligned, like I was in the location, sure, yeah, I would go. I mean, I would be more comfortable with having other people be actually in front of the camera and me just maybe edit and put some things together later, but I don't have to be right up front and center. I don't really care about that.
So what got you into wanting to be a filmmaker?
Just accidentally doing it, really, just because I was making reels, and some of the quality of, you know, some of the stuff on Prime or Tubi, I mean,
it's horrible.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I mean, why am I asking these people to use my music and I can edit and make something just on the same level? And now I've created the worst Bigfoot movie ever made. And
let me tell you,
I'm fine with that.
I will sit there and I will go on Tubi and I will look up cryptid movies, and every single freaking movie, God, it's so horrible, and I hate the fact to even admit that. Did I sit there and waste an hour and a half of my time to watch these movies?
Oh, man, I do too.
They are so horrible. But at the same point in time, they can also be a learning experience. They can be a learning experience as to how not to film a documentary or a movie if you choose to do so.
Yeah, and I did learn a lot from doing that the first time, and then I've learned a lot from watching other people like me make their documentaries and see how they do it. And now I've got a drone. There's a lot of drone footage, and I have drone videos.
I can't fly a drone. I tried and I got stuck in a tree. It's not my expertise.
Yeah, I've repaired the blades on mine probably 2 or 3 times from hitting stuff, but if I'm out in the open, I can get it.
I'm pretty sure that drone, like I'm never going to touch it again. Don't get me wrong, the video quality is fucking great.
Yeah.
And for a documentary, that's what you want. You want that video quality. You want that, drone showing the whole location. But yeah, I tried it, and a gust of wind took it to a tree, and I'm like,
That's what happened to there's a couple very brief drone shots in Steeds Ridge, and that I haven't found that drone to this day. I have no idea. It just like took off, it banked hard left and disappeared, and luckily I had a little bit of film out of it. And I edited Steeds Ridge to look like a faulty 1982. It took place in 1982, and I made it look like an old found footage VHS to mask mistakes. I could put glitches. I could use the app and put glitches in places where I did something dumb, or somebody, like at one point, because my wife's in there, she raises up her hand and she's wearing like a watch, like a smart watch. So I had to blur it. So like the tape messed up because like they didn't have those in the 80s.
I love it.
I was
Time
trying to
traveler. She was a time traveler.
Yeah, that would have been a really good plot twist.
So Dustin, I see we got about 10 minutes left, and you can ask when. I'm like a time Nazi. Like I watch.
But I have something to say real quick. So I have an idea. There's 2 podcasters that are going to get together next year and do some stuff in Alabama. Why don't you come film us?
Okay. Yeah, I would probably do that.
I mean, I can't be there.
You said we'd talk about, see if you could get here sometime next year.
Yeah, but I got to make sure I got vacation time, woman. Like, I can't
next
just be
year.
like, yeah, but next year is a lot when I have to request off a lot of time to go to the events that I'm going to this year.
I know, me too.
Yeah, that's where I was at. It took a lot to go.
I'm down for it. 100%.
We'll get together. And when we do, we'll get you there and you can film whatever you want to. How about that?
Okay, that sounds like a good deal.
May take us
that sounds like a horrible idea.
Sounds like a good messed up idea for me. Something's going to happen.
In the comments, Morgan that asked about a breath or a whisper or something. Now I do have.
So if you don't know, Dustin, Morgan is my girlfriend.
I thought so.
She's a psychic medium.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was she at Salem?
She was.
Okay.
Here we go. I think that's the one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I do have a different, and I didn't tell you this one in Messenger. I have 3 good paranormal things that have happened to me. And the one happened in my best friend's mom's house. And his parents had split, and there was a period of time where he was kind of staying there alone. And that was a fun time for us. We'd hang out in this house. And crap happens in there. It's just a really spooky place. So anyway, I was going to spend the night or a couple days with him.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Morgan. There are no chihuahuas involved. No one likes chihuahuas. They are fucking evil.
Hey, my chihuahua will be with me in Connecticut.
Not around me, it won't. Anyways, continue, Dustin.
Okay, sorry.
So we're going to hang out. And I got off work and I came to this house. I go upstairs to put my bags in the room I'm going to stay in. Well, when I get to the top of the steps, I felt like, say you're standing where you are. If I was to walk past your shoulder, I'm passing you, you would feel that. Like somebody brushes past you. And I swear
time to time.
it was like somebody leaned or passed my ear and said something, but it wasn't in English. It was, what was that?
I was pointing at Gwen. I'm telling her, no, do not encourage.
It wasn't understandable. It was spoken, but not English. And it's like they kept going down the hallway. And I said something out loud. I think I was like, oh my God. I said, what the crap? I said something. My friend heard me downstairs and he said, what is it? And I said, nothing, because we're about to stay in this house for a couple of days. I didn't want to scare everybody. So I waited till the last day. I waited till we left. And I don't know if I called him or told him on the way out. And I said, when I first got there and I went upstairs and you asked me what was up, and I said, nothing. I said, well, I told him what happened. And he said, well, listen, he said that very morning, he said, when I got there, it was his stepdad was downstairs. Yeah, that's right. They were split up, but I think his stepdad and mom still lived there. Maybe they went on vacation. So I'm getting my own crap mixed up. because he was there talking to his stepdad, and he said he felt somebody wrap their arms around like his neck and hug him, like lean weight on like his mom would do from behind. He said, "Good morning, Mama." And his stepdad just looked at him and said, "Who are you talking to? She's not here." He told me that after I told him what happened to me, and we were like, "Man, I don't know."
That is an insane experience.
And it happened the same day. Just one was in the morning and one was at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So the thing that people don't realize about the paranormal, especially these novice paranormal investigators that come into the field, they think they know everything because they watch Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters, and Ghost Adventures is the worst show you could watch for
True.
any kind of advice. They think just because they watch these shows, they can come in and tell you how the equipment works or the experiences that you have and the ways to explain them. That's not the case. You need to sit down and look at the hard facts. Did you have a notebook with you? Could you document every experience that happened while you were in that location? Because if you can, I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck what kind of evidence you present me. Your evidence is null and void because you don't have documentation telling me that there was no one else in that room. And that might be kind of harsh in the way that I word it. But that's how I run things.
Yeah, his mom still lives there too, and she says she sees like old timey ghosts and stuff. But I had a theory about it, and I want to see what you think about it. So it wasn't in
I'm
English.
intrigued.
Yeah, you'd be the guy to ask. There's a lot of Native American stuff around this area. And I know because my uncle lives right through the woods from where this house is, and he finds there was a spring there, and there used to be a stump. My dad's told me where there was like flint napped off, and I think they called it the Indian stump. And she lives
You're
very
talking
close.
about what, like Flint Rock?
Flint rock, yeah, that they would nap
Okay.
off in the arrowheads or whatever. And my uncle
Okay.
finds artifacts on his place, and she lives right there, basically in the backyard. So if it wasn't in English, maybe it was something, you know, Native American. I don't know.
Well, when it comes to Flint Rock, for me, the Native Americans knew how to use Flint Rock way better than any other culture that came in to the U.S. after we invaded their territory. So, yeah, it would make sense to me that it was a Native American culture that they were perceiving, because Flint Rock, if you don't know how to use it properly, you're never going to start a fire. I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just making the recent assumption after so many years, because this happened almost 20 years ago, probably, that if there was a ghost in this house, maybe it was Native American. And that's why it didn't speak English when it walked past me at the top of the stairs.
So that is very plausible if you're going off the stone tape theory. The stone tape theory basically states that any kind of energy you input, whether it be a house or the property, that you're inputting that energy into that location itself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you build a house that's 3 stories tall on top of a place that Native Americans used to stay, that was a 1 story with teepees, then they're going to follow their normal travel path in death. They're not going to sit there and go up the staircase. They're not going to do any of this. Hence the reason you only hear the noises coming from the bottom floor.
Yeah, this was on the second level, so.
Right. And so for me, I think that can kind of be chalked up to the stone tape theory.
Okay.
Do you know what that is, Dustin?
What's that?
Do you know what the stone tape theory is?
I didn't really until he just kind of, seems like I've heard it, but I couldn't recall. There's
But
just kind of
look,
like an energy imprint on an area.
yes, it's
In
like
stone, maybe like limestone or flint or.
so. Limestone, quartz, and water is what they call a paranormal battery.
Right, I've
So,
heard that.
yep. So limestone, quartz, and water. That is going to be your best opportunity to encounter the stone tape theory. If you have those three things in coordination, then for some reason that location happens to have more paranormal activity than other locations. And physiologically, geologically, I cannot explain it. I don't know why it happens, but it's a fact. It does happen.
I've heard somebody try to explain that in a different way before about your brain and the frequencies and the vibration of your perception being affected by the quartz and limestone with the electrical impulses that the water would give off of those stones.
Oh, okay. So you're looking into the theory that limestone gives off its own natural EMF, which is about 0.05. Yes, limestone gives off its own natural EMF field.
Okay.
Flowing water is a kinetic energy.
Right.
Kinetic energy, if you can register it, as far as when it comes to milligauss, is about 0.02. So if you factor in the fact that you have the limestone and the flowing water, yeah, I mean, it's very possible that there is a chance that you could be subjected to hypersensitivity of EMF field. That is very possible.
And sometimes I think stress could have played into that event at the top of the stairs because
Oh, it does.
I was having a devastating day when that happened. Like something really bad had happened, and I was just really looking forward to hanging out with my friend for the weekend. And maybe mentally, I don't know. I can't explain it, but had something not happen to him too that same morning, and him tell me that later, I would have just probably forgot it, never thought about it again.
I mean, it is what it is, but Dustin, we're at the top of the hour. I don't want to cut the conversation short because I'm really enjoying this conversation. Like, I love your insight, and I know you're not necessarily what some would consider a paranormal investigator.
Oh, not at all.
But this is the point of my podcast. I like to have people on that kind of shake up, everything, because paranormal podcasts are fucking boring, to be honest. And I want people on that are going to be a little bit of a shakeup. So, in closing, I have a
I was
multi-part.
trying not to be too controversial, but
Dude, you
I,
can be
We
as
don't care.
controversial as you
I had a
want.
little restraint on some of my opinions, but
You can be as controversial as you want. This is the Paranormal Unveiled podcast, and next time I have you on, and I will have you on again, do not hold back.
okay.
So, I end my podcast with a multi-part question that I ask everyone. If you had a bucket list location that you go and investigate that you knew there was haunted, what location are you choosing?
Oh my gosh. So if I knew it was haunted and I could go
Based on the lore.
based on lore. Um, that's a good question because I've never really just sought out to go to a place. I mean, me and my wife have talked about, I think maybe the Myrtles plantation before, and I've been to Savannah and went on tours of some of them old places, and I enjoy that. That's fun, but I've never like purposefully thought about going somewhere that I would know was haunted just to see, like to investigate or anything. Where would I go? I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that come to mind, so many places I'd like to travel. Um, I'm just drawing a blank on that question. I don't.
You know what though? You don't have to draw a blank because you said the Myrtles plantation.
Right.
I'll accept that. The ghost of Chloe has intrigued me for many years.
Yeah, that place seems really scary to me from watching documentaries.
So we'll go with the Myrtles Plantation
Okay.
as your bucket list.
Yeah,
So
because I've been to Savannah and went to the Sorrel Weed House and some of that. I've went to Gettysburg, been to Salem twice now.
didn't invite me.
I didn't know you at the
I'm just
time
messing with you, brother. I'm just messing with you.
because I will.
So we have the Myrtles Plantation. If you
Right.
could choose one person, they don't have to be involved in the paranormal, dead or alive, as your co-person that you're going to take with you, who you bring.
Dead or alive?
Doesn't matter, dead or alive. Who are you bringing with you to the Myrtles Plantation?
I mean, I would, besides my wife, maybe, if I can pick dead, Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, cool.
I love it. But is he smoking purple haze before he goes to that location is my question.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay, so
Let's just make the combination even more fun.
There
I
you
Myrtles
love
go.
it.
Plantation,
I love
Jimi
it.
Hendrix.
So we're going to take the Myrtles Plantation, and we got Jimi Hendrix. That's who you're taking.
Right.
So you have one piece of paranormal equipment that you can take with you. It could be a voice recorder. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
What piece of equipment are you taking with you, and
Uh,
why?
I'm going to say that's the easiest part of the question you've asked. And I'm going to go with digital recorder because so far I've caught 2 different EVPs just screwing around, not provoking anything. And in a time past, I picked up an EVP trying to record a piece of music, and the voice said, "Don't give up." So I'm going to definitely go with some sort of audio equipment.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
cool.
So Dustin, I didn't mean to hold you like 8 minutes over. I'm a fucking time Nazi.
Oh,
I
man,
didn't
I'm
mean to
not.
hold.
I'm not in
I
any
am,
hurry.
but I didn't
So,
mean to hold you 8 minutes over. But man, let me tell you, I greatly appreciate you coming on the cast, talking
oh,
with me.
man, yeah, I've had a lot of fun.
I think this was a great conversation. If you wouldn't mind holding the background for like 5 minutes or so,
Sure, yeah.
and I'll talk to you after we get off the show. And man, thank you so much. This is the Paranormal
Thank
Unveiled
you.
with Dustin Grammer.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much.
y'all. Thank you.
All right. He's cool.
I love Dustin. Like, Dustin is a good dude. When I met him in Salem, I knew he was a good dude. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's the Alabamian in me, but as soon as
There
we
you
met
go.
and we started talking, I was like, this guy's all right. And Morgan, quit responding to Thomas. Like, Thomas is probably doing things that we don't want to know about during the podcast. But
I sent her a picture of my chihuahua too.
oh.
Yeah.
But no, like I think it was a great conversation. I
Yes.
feel like Dustin was a great guest. I'm definitely gonna have him back on. Um, but yeah, so tonight, everyone who joined in, thank you so much. And tonight, that was the Paranormal Unveiled podcast with Dustin Grammer. And I ask you all to stay spooky and tune in next week because we're gonna have a pre-recorded cast because I'll be in Connecticut.
So will I?
No, you won't.
Yes, I will. Well,
You
not
won't.
Thomas. I'll be in Connecticut.
Nah, you won't.
Yes, I will.
But no, it's gonna be a great show. So me and Gwen will discuss the pre-record after the show. But this is a Paranormal Unveiled podcast with myself, the host, and our guest Dustin Grammer. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.